another Killer Planes video.
The Killer Planes How-To Series.
Hey there, Steve from Killer Planes here with some more tips and tricks, and today I'm going to show you something that I think is super cool because it's a super easy repair for a problem that happens a lot, and it actually makes the plane stronger in this respect than it was before. First I'll show you these two planes here. These are Dynam A10s. They're the same plane pretty much, except this is a new one and this is a beat up old used one which has been crashed I don't know how many times at this point. You can see that this old one is 2 inches shorter than the new one because, well, when you impact the nose with something like a ball of rock that's the size of the Earth, a number of times it's going to shorten the plane. So on the last impact that we had with the Earth, I tore off an aileron. This happens often, right? And you go, oh man, now I gotta fix that. Well, here's the easiest way to fix a torn aileron. There it is, the torn aileron. Here's the part in the wing that it came off. You don't do anything. You leave all this little jagged jigsaw puzzle exactly the way it is, and you take a tube of contact cement. If you don't have these, we have them. You can get one here, you can get them at the hardware store. It's a little thicker than contact cement that comes in a jar because, well, it's in a tube, so now I've glued myself to the rag. And you apply this contact cement from the tube down the seam on one side. So I'm going to bring it all the way down the aileron. By the way, if you've perhaps half ripped off an aileron, I'm gently squeezing this tube. By the way, if you've perhaps half ripped off an aileron, I'm gently squeezing this tube so that a little tiny bit of glue comes out that I'm just running down this cut. You can see it spreading across there, right? If you look carefully, you can see the glue spreading across. Really? Now I take this piece with the glue on the cut and I press it up against the place where it came off. Exactly right in there, right? And I squish it down nicely and take it off. Now we're going to let these two parts dry, and while we're doing that, we clean up any little excess that we might have gotten on a place that's not the actual rip. So you can wipe it off right now while it's still wet, and it'll barely leave a residue. Okay, done. Now all I have to do is wait for these two things to get tacky and push them back together. What you end up with is a hinge that's way stronger than the original hinge. If it does break again, it is not going to break there because contact cement is way stronger than styrofoam and it remains flexible forever. So you have a perfect hinge that'll probably take a lot more abuse than the original hinge in order to pull it off because it already broke at the weakest point, right? Now you're making the weak point into a strong point. So the next weakest point isn't quite as weak as that one. That means your whole thing is going to be stronger. I love logic, don't you? So in just about 30 seconds, a minute maybe.
You're going to say what happens if you ripped off half?
Oh, okay. I was saying before, if you rip off half of your hinge, right, just very carefully pull the rest of it off. If you need to help it along a little bit, you can take an X-Acto knife and put it into the places that aren't coming apart so easy, right? And just puncture it in a few places, and you'll be able to rip it off so that the entire hinge is ripped off, and then put it back on this way. So you'll have a complete new hinge area, right, that's done with contact cement. Awesome. So this is pretty much ready. So the big trick is to put it exactly where it's going to go because you can't move it after you get it on there. So I'm going to match up my little jigsaw puzzle, right, nice and close before I actually put the thing on, and make sure everything goes where it's supposed to go. And then right there in the center, meet up those two parts that used to be together. Now you've married them together again. You can see in there with the close-up, right, that sucker is glued on there. I can't pull this off. I wouldn't try it right now until the glue really dries, but you could probably hang this by the aileron now, right? So you have a completely flexible aileron that's glued on, that's way stronger than the original. It took 3 minutes. So, bring a tube of contact cement to the flying field with you. So, if you rip off half an aileron, pull off the rest of it, glue it back on this way, you're back in the air in 5 minutes. Ta-da-da! There we are, Steve, Killer Planes, and his tube of contact cement. See you on Flatline.
Pagin, yeah, all in the acid, no, and for all factory, the back of the cat,